Hello. Alright, the purpose of this video that I'm going to be recording here is just basically an introduction to the idea that I have and the concept that I'm trying to get across here. I've been teaching self-defense for over 20 years now. I started training back in the late 80s, and then after several years of training, then I started teaching. And I'm currently a third-degree black belt in American Ninjutsu, which is a non-traditional style of ninjutsu based on the concepts of what Mr. Buzzy created, and Mr. Robert Buzzy with the Robert Buzzy's Warrior International. And years down the road, one of his people that trained with him, which was Chris Leonard, moved to North Carolina, and I trained under him for various years, and then I started teaching. I've dabbled a little bit in some other styles, a little bit in jiu-jitsu when I first started my training, and also a little bit here and there some other stuff. But primarily what I've been doing is American Ninjutsu. And one of the reasons I've stuck with that, I feel like it's a little more practical as far as we don't do any kind of tournament fighting, there's no point sparring and so on and so forth. I'm not going to turn this into something talking about all the differences and all the different styles or anything. That's not my goal here. But anyway, I just want to get a little bit of history on the background of that. Also, all these videos are going to be straight up forward. I'm not going to be doing a bunch of fancy editing and all that. Don't get me wrong, that looks cool, but that's a lot more time. And my goal is to put a lot of content out there for people who want to learn how to defend themselves. Whether it be the correct way to stand, as far as the stances go, as far as how to do a punch, how to cover up from a punch, how to do a kick, what to do if somebody grabs your wrist, and all these things I want to teach. I want to be really low stress. I mean, I'm not going to be wearing your traditional uniform, all that kind of stuff, or your belts. I'm not going to be flashing around a bunch of belts with a bunch of stripes on it and saying, "Ooh, I'm all this" and everything. This is just getting down to meat and potatoes. This is who I am. I like wearing bright Hawaiian shirts, and I have long hair, and if my hair gets out of whack, I'm not going to cut that out and start over again. It's what you see is what it's going to be, if that makes sense. And everything I want to teach is going to be simple. Anybody should be able to learn these things. Of course, keep in mind, anytime you start doing any kind of exercise program, obviously I keep in mind the fact of checking with your doctor if you're not doing anything already and all that kind of stuff, and everything. All the equipment that I want to focus on is going to be simple things. I don't expect anybody to have to go out to buy a lot of equipment to do this kind of program. The goal is basically to for a target. A lot of people don't have people at home to hold pads for them and everything, like a square focus pad. So we're going to be showing you how to set up things to hang from trees, bottles and stuff, to use that for targets. Even using a string. I'm sweating like crazy because it's 95 degrees today in September, and the school is in a metal building. Also, talking about the school, what you see behind me is one of the walls in the school. This is a metal building that me and my students put up about 5 years ago. Right now, about half of this has been utilized for the school. And the name of the school is the American Ninjutsu Academy of High Point. And we're in High Point, North Carolina. I'll probably be having some of my students and maybe some of my kids assist me on some of the techniques that you see us do in later volumes. Once again, is to recap, the goal of this basically is just to keep it simple, not have to have a lot of fancy equipment to do these things with, and just simple, down to earth, relaxing environment, relaxing training environment, and it's just the fact of trying to get this out there on the web without charging money for it. Now, I've trained for all these years, and sometimes I've had 20 students, sometimes I've had 2 or 3 students. And my goal is to spread this information out to as many people as possible, so anybody getting attacked will have some basic information on how to defend themselves. And hopefully you learn from this and you follow through with it. The goal of breaking this up to make it simple to understand and train is I'm going to have it kind of basically broken up into different chapters, I guess you would call it. Now, it doesn't mean you have to start out from chapter 1, do all of chapter 1, and then go to chapter 2. Chapter 1 is going to be like the fundamental stuff as far as the footwork and covering up and jamming strikes and blocking a kick and so on and so forth. That's just going to be your basics of that under the fundamentals, and also some of the concepts with the organization. An example of like a chapter 2 would be going into the hand strikes with the punches. So as long as you get some of the basic information on the standing, you can go ahead and skip around to chapter 2 and learn some of the striking 3 and the kicks and so on and so forth. Now, obviously nobody likes to stand around and study something, the fundamentals, for hours and hours. So that's why I want to break it up in chapters. The goal is I'm going to do a few videos in each chapter to kind of lay out the foundation for it. So when you're looking at our playlist on YouTube, you'll be able to see each playlist is going to be a different category or different chapter, basically. So that way you can go from one to the other. For example, if you want to go into like ham, I went on weapons, or like half staff. There'll be a section on half staff, like the grips you use with it, and the way you just made another video on striking with it, knowing from techniques and so on and so forth. All right, and then it goes into like handgun as far as concealed carry, some of the tips I learned on that and everything would be a whole nother section on that. So you can pick and choose the information you want, so that way if you already have some training, you already know some basic stances and how to stand, you can skip around to a whole different chapter and just go straight into the others. Keep in mind, however, you do need to have a strong foundation to build on. So if you jump straight to the end, there's going to be things I mentioned as far as the name of a stance or body positioning, or let's say falling back into a sideways back stance. Those kind of things you may not understand if you haven't already had a good foundation to build upon. So keep that information there in the back of your head. All right, well, that's it for this video. All this information is going to be shared on our main school website, which is ForDefend.com. And right now that's the school website at the time it's recording, but we also have links to these various videos. And of course, you standard social media, so you got Twitter, and then you got Facebook. Primal Hippie Ninja on Facebook, and Primal Hippie at Twitter. All right, look forward to seeing you in future videos.